Welcome to the Infinite Star Connections podcast. We are your hosts, Jeff Demers and myself, Viviane Chauvet. We both are delegates for beautiful enlightened star delegations. We love to bring guests who are in alignment to the higher timeline of ascension, the star nations, the star seed, all souls who have called to be of service. And speaking of which, today you're in for a huge treat. Speaking of two old souls dedicated to bring wisdom, enlightenment, guidance, and yet in practical way, we are very thrilled to welcome for the first time AJ Cavanagh and Tom Workman. Allow me to introduce our guests. So, Thomas and AJ are intuitive channels and the co-founders of Speaking from Source, which we will explore. So you want to stay tuned. AJ is an Arcturian Starseed and a real one for a change. This is awesome. Sorry. Who was born in Melbourne, Australia. He discovered his spiritual gifts as a child and has a strong connection to the extraterrestrial realm. Thomas holds a Ph.D. in communications and opened to his spiritual gifts while in Washington, D.C. A lifelong learner, Tom is currently completing a doctorate in Theo-centric Psychology. I want to learn more about that for sure. Since meeting in 2016, Thomas and AJ quickly discovered their unique ability to simultaneously channel a powerful collective of non-physical beings they simply call the guides. And you will have a demo of it today. The guides, composed of archangels, ascended masters, native ancestors, elementals, and of course, intergalactic beings, speak as one from the universal mind and offer messages of profound wisdom to help individuals unlock their potential, navigate life's challenges, and uplift the collective consciousness. Now they have a brand new website. All the links are in the description. Please go explore. Thomas and AJ offer private and group channeling session, online membership community called the Circle of Light, and live with the guides, a monthly online interactive channeling event where people join from all over the world to ask their questions of the guides. So they also have a 12 episode TV series called The Infinite Pathway Journey to Self Realization, which present the wisdom of the guides in simple, practical ways, available on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and by adding the Soul Surge TV channel. So, a warm welcome to both of you today. Thank you for joining Jeff and I on the Infinite Star Connection podcast.
Thank you. We're delighted to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, we're especially thrilled to be before you both and your wonderful audience.
We're so happy to welcome you, and there's so much energy and guidance and wisdom we can extract. Why don't we just start by let's talk about yourself. You know, we read by the bio, of course, you've been on your journey for a while. AJ, you know, you come from Australia. As a child, you discover your connection. Let's just start here, and then Thomas, of course, we want to hear from you as well. But AJ, we'll just discover as an Arcturian Starseed your connection to the extraterrestrial realm as a child, discovering this ability, you know, to adapt as a human being. How was it for you?
Well, I'm sure you would know it was not easy. Coming into the third dimensional realm is a real challenge, but also a phenomenal privilege. Arcturians love to observe, and they are able to look at things from a multidimensional perspective and triangulate in, and it makes it a very rich experience from my point of view. Both simultaneously from the Arcturian perspective and very much the human perspective. I do experience both, and it's fascinating personal growth for me. So as a child, it was very difficult because there are many things that we take for granted here, such as competition as one of those things that are completely foreign to us. So it was, I would love to play a game of tennis or football or something like that, but I had no desire to win. I just loved the experience of the play. And so that was very interesting. Food was another one as well. I was not used to the concept of food, and it took me a long time, not until I actually reached about puberty, about 13, when those chemicals kicked in to enable me to have a desire to eat more and to expand those horizons and understand what that meant from a physical point of view. But from a spiritual point of view, it was fascinating because for one thing, I had parents that seemed to understand who I was from the get-go, and they were so generous and they were so allowing. And it was interesting because when my parents married as young ones, they were both teenagers, they had my brother, and then 10 years later, I came along. And so they were mature parents, if you will, by the time sort of I came along, and it was perfect for my upbringing and my nervous disposition as it was in coming to interact with others. But what was interesting was I was always that kid that was able to see a flash in the sky or be able to understand what's wrapped behind the Christmas presents under the tree, and also have amazing synchronicity as well. And then also to be able to telepath and intuit into others in the environment. And that was interesting, but it also was somewhat alienating as well. I was a bit of an outsider and a bit of a loner as a result, but that was, really for my own protection in my early years, as it were. And so I'm delighted to finally arrive here today and to have this amazing partner with Tom, who meets me and beyond at that level, and to have friends such as you and Jeff and an audience like this to be able to be here right now, because this is such an incredible time of awareness and opportunity for each and every living being on the planet.
AJ, needless to say, as an Arcturian being in a human hybrid form, how much I relate to that. And you know what, you spoke, I know that a lot of people relate to that. Starseeds will relate to the inability to connect or to relate to certain concept. I never understood myself the need for competition, whether it's just the experience, the partnership, the teamwork that we want to bring in instead, and to be able to, helping people to rediscover a new aspect of living, whether it's the relation to food, relation of the soul and the body, connection, adaptability to these forms and the energy. So I really relate to that a lot. And I know many of our beautiful people in the audience can relate to that as well. Jeff, my friend, any comment or thing you would like maybe to explore with AJ before we let Thomas to explore?
Yeah, I'd like to ask AJ this kind of a stupid question, but did you recognize Vivian as an Arcturian hybrid right away, or
Right away. Yep. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. And so, you can't offend us or anything like that. We want to expand your insight, and we want to engage in the sharing of these energies and these frequencies together in community. That's what it's all about. And so, and you know what? It's interesting. I'll also tell you that as an Arcturian, and Vivian would know this as an Arcturian ambassador, we come in with certain mandates. And I don't often discuss this much, but I have a clear mandate. And one of those is to explore through the Arcturian perspective, the human perspective. And the other is to share in the advancement of light galactically and here on Earth, because we are ascending. And as we ascend, we discover our brothers and sisters, and we're able to recognize others more. And there are many on the planet right now who will see vibrationally or just even visually through the energy field the differences in that respect. And many of us actually come from starseed origins, Tom included, with the Syrians. And they come through at different levels and different frequencies. Vivian and I are different individually and different again from Tom, but that's what it's all about. It's a whole lot of different convergence of perspectives and experiences coming together, the indigo children, the crystal children, all of those having this experience, and yet all earth physical in the 3D realm at the same time.
Look, can you also recognize other types of extraterrestrials, perhaps?
Usually, yes. Not always, but it's a very subconscious thing that happens. Sometimes I can see it as a frequency. Sometimes I can see it physically, and sometimes there are very special ones around us. I've had less than 5 that have actually come up and introduced themselves directly, and I know that that's the case and significant because it happens first telepathically and then physically. And so when it happens physically, it's the confirmation of the telepathic link. It's really fascinating. It's really fascinating. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great questions, by the way, my friend Jeff. It really is. And you're right, AJ. There is a deeper unconscious and that soul recognition. When you talk about you as an Arcturian Starseed, I remember the day when we met, and we've known each other for a number of years now. There was already a natural soul recognition. We know that we share that frequency energy, that beautiful cosmic roots connection, and there was this beautiful recognition. So when you talk about Tom being a Syrian starseed, I recognize that as well. And of course, Arcturian and Syrians energies, that's what I meant to say. Arcturian and Syrians were very complementary with each other.
Yeah.
Arcturians will attract naturally Syrians will be attracted to us. There's a lot of beautiful partnership. I said a very long, very ancient friendship and collaboration between the Syrians and the Arcturians. So, of course, it feels the flow. Can you feel the flow? So everyone, I'm going to invite you, beyond listening to the words, just feel the energy, feel what is being shared at a deeper level. It's a soul calling. It really is. So I love that. That's beautiful.
And about as much for me, from a soul level in general, whether it's extraterrestrial or not, that I can always sense someone who has a divine spark and someone who has additional abilities or simply has a soul who's missioned out there. And I think we can all feel that as well. And it's fascinating to watch that and to see that. I also think that that's something that we can train ourselves towards. In other words, it's a way of setting an environment and setting an energy that allows you to become more exposed to those individuals. The people around you are around you for a reason. And you attract the individuals that are around you. And so for me, it really was a matter of opening up to those individuals so that I was now suddenly in that circle.
Yes, I love that too. I felt the energy. And Jeff, let me see if you feel the same way, everyone watching right now. But don't you feel that there's such a balance between the energy radiating from AJ and the way Tom speak, and then how the energy blend and really support and is very balancing one another. I mean, I'm observing it every time we get together, but right now even more so. So
Well,
this is an incredible gift.
Vivian, that was really the basis that we understood how to channel simultaneously. We both were individually channeling. We both were trained separately, obviously. and we're doing our own thing. And when we came together, we decided to have a meditation time, which turned into, of course, a channeling time where we would support one another. I would go into channel and AJ would facilitate, and AJ would then channel and I would facilitate. And what we found quickly was that balance of energies. The guys were quick to say to us, no, we're going to have you do that together. There's something very important for you to illustrate about oneness when you are able to channel together. And so it's really quite something to see when the energy just sort of shifts and says, okay, Tom, stop talking now. That's going to come through AJ, and vice versa. And it's also fascinating, I have to tell you, when AJ will be channeling, and in my mind will be a set of words that will come right out of his mouth.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
vice versa.
Yes, and actually we saw a comment there that said sounds like a beautiful dance. And we actually, in our private channeling time that we do together, in our private meditating time we do together, we actually call it dancing with the divine.
Yep.
How intuitive it was that in that comment right there. Yeah, but it is fascinating because as we go, we're trance channels, and normally, you'll see a trance channel. It's unusual to have two channels simultaneously. As far as we know, we're the only ones in the world that are doing this right now, but there will be more coming forward as we come into a collective consciousness. But the idea that they wanted was that they wanted an example of the potential for us to share a like mind and to see what a sharing of energies is about, and the potential and the capacity there for everyone in that respect.
And
You
that
know, it's interesting that hang on, Vivian. It is interesting that you guys mentioned dance.
Yes.
Because the Palladians do a certain type of communication through dance.
Yes.
And
it's fascinating. And isn't dance high vibe? When you move your body, you enable all of those energy centers to illuminate and to shine and to find their own equilibrium. You literally light up when we dance and when we move. It's very important, even when we walk in nature. The physical body does require movement. It's something that each and every one of us is driven toward since the moment of birth.
That's where rhythm comes in, because we're born with the rhythm.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's the rhythm of the universe. That's what vibration is all about. That Kundalini energy that comes through us is a dance. And that rhythm is in everything and everyone. And so it's really lovely. That's why we love to be together when we're in these concerts, and when we dance together, or when we hold someone close and dance. It really is wonderful.
That is very true. Dancing and feel the energy. It also gets you in tune, almost like with the vibrational pulse of Gaia's heart. You can feel, you become in tune with the sync of life, the pulse of the energy, and of course we talk about being in oneness. Well, you can experience it that way rather than rationalizing to the mind. You can bring it through that movement and that sacred movement.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. When I first met Tom, he was channeling the native ancestors, and he was quite a physical channel, in that he would shake and move about a fair bit, as we both still do today, with just the energy that comes through us when we channel. But when I was there with him, I could see him and the native elders dancing around the fire. And dance and movement is so important to the native ancestors, that heartbeat of the drum.
Yeah.
Very, very true. So speaking of which, let us explore. How did you meet?
Well, it's a great story. I've always been spiritual, obviously, as you can gather. And I've always had that compulsion to do a group or have some sort of spiritual avenue to share. And I had an opportunity to work in North Carolina, and I started a meditation meetup group, actually, and I called it Meditation for Busy Minds. And it was an opportunity for people to get together on a Friday night and to really clear their space and set them up for the weekend, to have that clear break from what they were doing in their 9 to 5. And I rented a 2-bedroom apartment, and I turned the master bedroom into this space to do these meditations. And it was there that Tom found my meetup notice online.
I did. And, you know, I had just moved from Washington, D.C., where I had been and done all my training. And I was a little nervous about going to North Carolina. I went, though. We had an office with my company down there as well. And my father was in Charlotte, and he had just lost his second wife. And I was a little worried about him. I wanted to be a little closer. So I moved down there, but I really thought, oh, I've just given up all of my spiritual community. And I had such a wonderful spiritual community in Washington. And so I started looking for a new community, and I saw AJ's meditation. I thought, well, here's a start. I'll do that, and I'll go and I'll show up for his meditation for busy minds, and we'll see if there's anything there. And I showed up on a Friday night, and I was the only one who came that night. He usually had 8 to 10 people every Friday, and all of them canceled. So he answered the door and said, well, I don't really ever cancel. So if you want to, we'll go ahead and do this, and it'll just be you and me. And so I'm like, yep, sure, sounds good to me. Well, we did about an hour-long meditation. It was really quite an amazing experience for me. It was wonderful. And as soon as I got up from it, I said, I have to know you. I mean, I could just feel that entire hour who this man was. And I thought, no, I have to know you. And he got up and he said, you have the cleanest chakras of anyone I've ever met.
Well, you know, it's interesting, and I'm going to jump in here, because when you are in a group and you are leading a meditation, a physical group, you can really see where people's development is at, you know, how still they are or whatever. And I knew right away, as soon as Tom went in, he started to have a Kundalini experience. And I knew that this was someone who had done work on himself and someone who was deeply committed to his spirituality. And it was true. That statement was true. You know, he had incredibly clean chakras. And, you know, sometimes, you know, when we come to expand and grow spiritually, you know, we bring a little bit of that baggage with us, and we have to kind of scrub ourselves clean and learn to quiet the mind. And I could tell he'd already done that work. And so it was just, I mean, you know, he felt the energy and I felt the energy, and we made a commitment to each other to stay connected. And look what happened.
Of course, I said, shut up. You had me at chakras.
It's true.
I remember when you first said that to us, for Peter and I, it was just beautiful. You
Yeah.
know, for you, yeah, for the two of you, is you had me at chakras, and for Peter is meditation makes me hungry. And that was the beginning of that energy of we must know each other and where it
Yes.
leads.
Yes, and I have the privilege of knowing Peter as well, and you have a beautiful connection together and a beautiful symbiotic relationship with Energies of Service as well, and the work that Peter and you do collectively.
But the point for me really is, when you become open and when you become focused, all of those things are always available to you. It's not a special fluke. It's not. I'm no different than any other. We're the same as anyone else. It's really just a matter of focus. And when you believe in the gifts of the universe, when you believe that the universe is always working for your greatest and highest good, then you start to look for that greatest and highest good, and then you find it everywhere.
Yes. You know, the guides often say, you know, we channel a collective, and the guides often say, we're with you with every intake and outtake of breath. And, you know, you know, when they said that, I was just blown away, because often we think, well, you know, we have to do certain rituals or be spiritual for a certain number of years to earn their respect or their flow, you know. And yet, they are with us unconditionally in every moment. And so to Tom's point too, it really is just an opening up and allowing. And that's why so many of us right now are having these amazing experiences with Gaia and with Mother Earth. They're called to do sacred rituals and partake in certain events, to be fascinated with astrology and the moon cycles, or to join communities such as our Circle of Light or the Infinite Healing from the Stars community, and to tune into podcasts just like this.
Just take a deep breath, everyone, just to feel the energy. Remember, it's just an experience. This is more than a discussion. This is an experience, an exchange. And speaking of an exchange, I'm always mindful where other life forms join in. And Jeff, I see your boy on your lap. He's adorable.
Oh,
Is
he's
that Hardy?
he's just barking. I gotta calm him down a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, our pets can't help but be around us. They love to join high frequency, and sometimes if you're working, they'll jump up on the cat will jump up on your desk and sit right in front of your keyboard, much to your frustration. But they love that energy, and they love sharing and being close.
Yeah, I think he just wants to eat.
Could be that too.
He knows what he wants to know. And you know what? And all of the above, because to your point also, AJ, in my work, I oftentimes, the moment, when I work with a client, or I work with our members, or I do meditation online, as many of you knows, the moment, either it's a cat, a dog, they know. The moment many clients told me, the moment they hear your voice, Vivian, the moment they hear the sound, they come in that room, they want to be part of it.
Yep.
Either lying down, or their cat look at the screen, or the dog is quiet down. It is so wonderful. Yes, thank you, Megan, for saying that. My Peanut, my majestic Bengal galactic royalty, Lyran, she's always around. But I see that also with, sometimes your boy will come, Jeff, or, I have this lady I meet every month, her dog Bella. I mean, she has to be there. She's sitting on the couch next to her to be a part of. And so we call the Syrians, because she's part of your group, Thomas. And we call the Syrian, and so we have the Arcturian Syrians, we have all kinds of beings being around us. And it becomes such a sharing. It's
Yes.
really, that healing of the heart, that transformation we go through,
Yes.
reminding that every grain of life has an importance. So your journey, obviously, we can feel that. So at what point, speaking from source, became a reality?
Well, I think when we discovered that we were meant to channel together, we had to make that very big decision that would we do this for the public? And would we just do this on our own and gain all the insights we were gaining from it? Or would we do this with other people? And that's always a little frightening decision because as you know, there's a mix of energies in all of that. There's an energy about making money. There's an energy about ego and being seen by an audience and being appreciated by an audience. There's all that stuff that you have to work through, and that energy has to be worked through. And yet it was clear. Our guides gave us a very specific mission. They said, tell as many people our message as possible. Mm-hmm. That was our very simple mission, and we've taken it quite seriously ever since.
Yes.
And so we really had to then think of how we would do that. And originally, we have the beautiful acre-large property here in northern Phoenix, Arizona, and it's quite beautiful, and it's right off of Joy Ranch Road. And so we started by calling ourselves Camp Joy Ranch. And we're going with that because we thought we'd offer classes and whatnot here and do all kinds of things. And it became clear, no, that's not what we do. What we do is we speak from source. We allow source to speak directly through us through the guides. And so it became obvious that was what we were. And that's what we should be called and what we should do. And so from there, it's been quite the adventure, right? As you can imagine, well, as you well know, there's a whole lot that goes into standing all that up and creating a web presence and creating opportunities. And thank goodness AJ works for Speaking from Source full time to help us find opportunities to speak and opportunities to channel, because they don't come naturally, they don't come easily. This is still the kind of work that many people don't quite understand. And even though we have gone leaps and bounds in the last 15 years from where we were in our general understanding about all of that, really it's still somewhat new. People understand psychics, they understand mediums,
yeah.
But they don't understand channels. And so oftentimes we sort of get questions like, well, do you just channel, Grandma and Aunt Rose and people like that? No, that's mediumship. We channel a higher entity. We aim quite high, and the guides are quite high.
Yes.
Right? They're pretty high in the divine realm. And again, to us, that now feels natural because that's always who has interacted with us. That's always been the interaction we've had.
Yes.
The other thing I'm going to say, honestly, Vivian, is I think we see the connection between our spirituality and our maintaining our spiritual health and the work that we do. And so we spend an awful lot of time in our temple. We spend a lot of time, as you heard, dancing with the divine. We spend that time because, to me, that really is the foundation for the work that we do, right? I never want to be up to a point where I'm channeling and I'm not personally connected myself. So that's become also very important to us.
Yes, and the guides that come through us speak to us as a collective, as their source.
Mm-hmm.
So the intergalactic realm, the elemental, the archangels, the native elders, and the angelic realm, they all come to us as a collective because they really don't want to come through as individual personalities. They don't want to be idolized. They don't want anyone to say that, oh, I'm the only one that can channel Cleopatra or Napoleon or something like that, because this is available for everyone. And the collective wants to speak right now. Mm-hmm. And it's the message, not the personality, that is important.
Yeah.
Do they recognize you guys as both as one or as individuals operating together?
They know we're individuals. They call me Thomas. AJ sort of insists on being called AJ, but I hear them often say Anthony. So they know us very, very personally and very individually, it feels.
Yeah.
And yet they seem to know that we're separate individuals and we're operating together. So there are many times when, for example, the guides will have a specific message for AJ, because AJ's life is a little different than mine. We don't have the exact same needs or issues or struggles, and vice versa, right? I have my own. And so we can feel the guides tending to us as individuals, and yet they really have said to us many times how much they value our working together. And again, what that demonstrates, that gives a demonstration of what this oneness is about.
And this is an alignment of energies that enable us to channel in this way. Some call it affinity, others might call it love. There are many instances of love where someone says, oh, I knew you were going to call, or I knew you were going to, like there was one year we bought each other the exact same Christmas card,
and wrapped our gifts in the same
paper. Yes, which was really, really, really kind of fun. But on the flip side too, we channel for the public, but we also channel for ourselves. Yeah. And it's fascinating when the guides say, oh, we saw Thomas today shopping, or we realized AJ was thinking about so-and-so. And it's amazing that intimacy, that insight they have into your lives, and yet this beautiful unconditional love and absolute support. It's really very special, and something that, you know, we're all coming to. Wouldn't we all love to have that that surety and that knowledge of unconditional love? And certainly that's something you, Vivian, bring in your delegation.
But how could you not?
Right.
It's a universe of unconditional love. The universe is a loving universe. And you know, part of, I think, why we're all doing what we're doing is to continue to share that message. It's easy, especially these days, to sort of see the world as falling apart or as corrupt or as less than wonderful. And the guides are constantly reminding us. In fact, they just did it the other day. There was something absolutely gorgeous happening outside. And they said, see, do you see? Do you see how beautiful this is?
Yeah.
And they do that quite often because it's easy for us to sort of forget and to get caught up in the news and in the nonsense and not realize we live in a love-based universe.
Yeah, you know, I remember asking them once, you know, when you look at planet Earth, what do you see? Because we see, you know, climate change and political extremes and suffering and wars and everything. And the guides, their response blew me away. They said, when we look at planet Earth and the beings that are on planet Earth, we see your light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And for those of you who follow our work, you know exactly what the Arcturian we do say all the time. We see your magnificence, we see your potential, we see this radiance coming through.
Yes.
It is very, very, very true. And the magnificence of Gaia, and I don't know if you remember, but we call her the blue pearl. She is like radiating like a blue pearl of light, and she's hard to resist. But once you get here on boots on the ground, you go, oh, okay, let's see how we can support that. Well, I like to explore a few things. You know, you mentioned about spiritual connection for yourself as you are able to bring the message and let it flow through you. You have your temple, which I had a joy to be inside of, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But for people who have more like very demanding lives, you know, working two jobs, children at home, a full house, taking care of maybe a loved one, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, and they want to implement what you talk about, but they feel like they may not see a way to do that. What would you advise them?
Well, what the guides have advised, because we have many of those clients as well, and what the guides often say is just simply get aligned and then just start with alignment. Just allow yourself those few moments at the beginning of the day. They love to play a game. They call it a game, and it's really quite fun. They say, we want you in the start of a day to ask yourself how many wonderful things, how many gifts from the universe, how many encouragements you can find in this day. And then at the end of the day, to sit and recount them and to really think about them. And they might be terribly small. They might be, boy, that sandwich was really good today. It might be, it was a really sunny day. I'll never forget helping a loved one who was quite ill. And we were going in to do a procedure for them, and it was really quite life or death, frightening. And as I'm going there, worrying, trying to get to the hospital, all of a sudden, something just attracted my attention to the side window. And it was the most gorgeous tree I had ever seen. And so it was just, oh, what a pretty tree. Mm-hmm. And it was just that second of relief, of seeing something beautiful, finding something beautiful. And that's available to all of us, right? So it is a matter of, I think what the guides often say is allow yourself just a little bit to align, to say, there is beauty here, and I'm going to look for it, and I'm going to find it. And then as you're aligned, notice how much better things are than when you're not aligned.
Absolutely. You know, the guides say you are carried, and you are on Earth for a reason, because of all of the wonderful distractions that are there for you with the birds and the trees and the animals, everything to get your mind and change your vibration off your worries and to something else. It doesn't necessarily solve or give you the answer to what's going on right now, but it allows you to soften your grip, to open up, to receive, and to expand your energies out, to be able to receive the answer or the insight, or to find the light in a situation, or at least just to breathe and allow your vibration to ground, and then to connect up into source as well. These are what we call practices, and the guides love to talk about practices, because this is the way in which we are going to collectively ascend. So even if it's just taking a breath, walking out in nature, giving someone a hug, or smiling at a random stranger, these are very simple things you can do to raise your vibration and to elevate your consciousness. And it's even in our Speaking from Source logo. We call it the pillars of light. And there are all these elements of light as we collectively reach up into source. And that is what is happening right now as we ground to Gaia, and then we reach up to all of those guides that support us individually and collectively.
The other thing the guides always say is, remember that you're fully equipped to live a full and complete life. In other words, you do have a chakra system, and that chakra system connects you, it roots you to Mother Earth, who always holds you. That gravity's no joke.
Yes.
It's really there for a reason, to root you, to keep you there. And you have this beautiful crown chakra that allows in divine light, divine wisdom, and everything in between. So you have this fully equipped system that lets you creatively problem solve, that lets you express when you need to express, that lets you feel compassion when compassion is needed, that lets you know your own identity, right? And really know who you are. And those chakras are more than, I think sometimes we just think, oh, the chakras, you know, but we don't really stop and think, no. This is the way we were designed to live as spiritual beings in an incarnated body. This was the divine design for us, to be souls living in a body.
And these are why your practices, your self-realization is really important right now. And that's, you know, what everybody is talking about. You know, this idea of ascension, it doesn't happen to you, it happens through you, and it happens through your allowing. And so that's why I discover these practices, even if it's just taking 5 minutes a day in the morning, to just breathe and feel the sun on your back, and to appreciate the opportunity of a new day, is so important.
You can tell we get excited talking about this.
We do.
No, it's beautiful. It's perfect, because it's a powerful and yet empowered reminder that when you're really connecting to loving, enlightened, higher consciousness, whether it's through the guides, the group you bring, whether it's our delegations, the many enlightened star beings, the sentient life form that coexists with us in the multiverse, when you start to feel that we are converging towards a very similar message that repeats through different perspective, uniqueness of expression, and all of it, you know that you're in the presence of infinite source and presenting itself in
Yes.
any shape or form.
Yes.
And I can feel that as you speak. I'm sorry?
Yes. You know, so, I mean, to your point, though, too, people have real issues and problems that they're working through right now. And, you know, not to underestimate any of that. And yet the guides often remind us that, you know, you're not here to fail. You have the capacity within you to transcend all of that. We often talk about hindsight as a great teacher or a great learner. You know, but we're not here to fail. We're not here to be subject to or to be diminished. We're actually here to expand and work through those issues, each of us with a unique lens, each of us viewing with a unique perspective. Tom, do you want to talk about the diamond analogy that they've brought for us?
Yeah, I will. But even before I do that, I want to say, of all the messages that the guides give, they probably most often say you are adored by Source. And they say that. I'm convinced because so many of us aren't convinced that we are. We really think that the source of the universe tolerates us and maybe let us get away with something.
Right.
Maybe,
right.
but maybe we're not going to get away with it, right? And so we're always living in fear that someday we're going to get it. We're going to get it. And it's amazing how many people we work with, and really our own journeys, were to understand, no, you really are adored by Source, that you really are the object of Source's love. Source so adores us that, for example, it makes each one of us completely individual. And so they showed us a wonderful image, and we use it quite often now when teaching others, of a diamond. And they said, take a look carefully at a diamond and notice that every individual facet is slightly unique. That every little facet of that diamond is its own thing. And without it, the diamond wouldn't be complete.
Wouldn't be as brilliant.
You complete the universe. You actually complete the universe. Your being, your soul, completes the universe. Without you, the universe wouldn't be complete. And yet, what I think is so wonderful as we move to understand the collective, which is really where we're headed now, you can't see the beauty of the diamond by looking at any individual facet. You can only see the beauty of the diamond from a whole.
Yeah.
When you look at the whole diamond,
collective,
that's when you see the beautiful shine and the shimmer. Even though each one of these incredible facets are so important and contribute to that
brilliance,
it's the whole that matters the most. And that's certainly true as well as our collective that has the power.
Beautifully said. Absolutely. We are absolutely in fluid agreement here. Jeff, my friend, comment, feedback, question for our wonderful guest today?
Yeah, when you guys talk about the guides, are can you describe them? Are they one? Or are they a bunch of whatever it is?
Sure. Yeah, they are a collective. And we know that they're made, and they've introduced themselves to us individually. That was another part of the process, that as we started channeling more and more, and I'll just tell you quickly how that happened. I was channeling the grandfathers, AJ was channeling the beings, and we did that over and over and over. And then finally one day, AJ channeled the grandfathers and I channeled the beings. And we were like, what's this about?
How did that happen?
And they said, well, we know each other, right? We're connected as well.
Yeah, there's no separation in the divine realm like there's apparent separation in Earth and the 3D realm.
Right. And from there, we started meeting new entities. And we still, to this day, are brought new entities. And I've always been fairly close with Archangels, but new angels would come in and introduce themselves. New beings would come in and introduce themselves, and a whole host of ascended masters. And so when you think about the collective wisdom of the universe, and this is a little difficult because I don't think I wish we taught this in school rather than half of what we teach in school. Wouldn't that be great? If you really learned divine wisdom and you knew that there were all of these energies all across the celestial realm, all of which at different levels of ascension, at different levels of wisdom, at different, the guides like to describe it as close to source, right? Surrounding source, close to the energy of source, and that there are so very many of these, that there are animal spirits and there are plant spirits, and there are just so many of these kinds of entities. And so what AJ and I do is we invite in the guides. We don't tell them who. We don't tell them who we expect to show up. And what's so fascinating is that it's always exactly connected to the people that we're channeling to. And so almost every time when the guides finally ask for conversation with the audience, ask for some interaction, people always say, well, you've already answered my question. Well, of course they did. They knew
They
you
knew.
were coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew you were there, and they were there because of you, right? You have your own set of guides, and some of them are ascended masters, and some of them are angels, and many of them are beings far more than most of us think about, and on and on and on. And so those entities, those energies are always around, and I believe always working cooperatively, working collaboratively. I can't imagine ever seeing an ascended master, Melchizedek, going, move out of the way. It's my turn. This is mine.
Right.
I'll take care of this. Thank you very much. And a Pleiadian going, no, I've got this. This is my territory, right? I think that they're pretty cooperative, and so
yes, entirely. And it's interesting because, you know, when that event happened, when I started channeling the native elders and Tom was channeling the extraterrestrials, we actually asked them, you know, how did that happen? And the native ancestors replied back and said, well, who do you think we learned from?
yeah,
And I thought that was a fascinating response.
yeah. So now we just invite in whoever from that realm, whoever is of that energy and of that light, to come and speak to the people who are there. Many times while we're channeling, we will feel them come in and out. We'll feel different energies come in and out. Sometimes they'll sound quite different as well. I'm a bit of a transmutive channel. It's funny, the guides have kind of toned that down a good deal from when I was channeling individually. I think because of the collective, right? No need to call attention to anything, but you can hear a difference in voice, and sometimes quite a dramatic difference when I'm channeling and a different kind of energy comes in.
Yeah, you could see that on our TV show, The Infinite Pathway, and we take live channelings there. Sometimes it can be back-to-back channeling from a different, you know, time that Tom was channeling, and then he'll do another channeling again, and the voice will sound quite different because of the vibrational energy of that being coming through, and the same for myself. And you can really tell when it's a grandfather energy or an extraterrestrial energy or a native energy or an elemental or an archangel, for example. And if you can't tell it, we certainly can. We feel it, we experience it, we know it vibrationally, and we can go, oh yeah, that's who it is, even though we're in trance.
I always know when AJ's channeling an extraterrestrial. He has a very specific sound that is very much, and I think I do with Ascended Masters.
He sure does, and the native elders.
Yeah.
So this is a trusted source for sure.
Well, yeah, you know, think of it as attunement. So you know, everything is vibration, and like a radio station, you know, if you want to tune into the top hits, you dial a certain frequency. And so, you know, Tom and I have been at this for literally decades, and we work together at this literally every day in managing our energy and our vibration and setting our intention, speaking from source. There is only the source, you know. And so we have our vibration set. And so that's why it's easy. That's why we channel the guides, because we've set that frequency, we've set that vibration, and we set that intention. You know, it's interesting because when people first start to open up their abilities, you know, maybe they're doing a meditation and they want to connect with their guides. There's that phrase, you know, is anybody out there, you know? And of course you don't want anybody. You know, if you've got a problem with your eyes, you want an eye specialist. If you've got a problem with your feet, you want a podiatrist. You don't want a general practitioner. You need a specialist. And so that's why it's important to work with people such as ourselves, because we understand that and we put that effort in to that. And you'll see that we're actually wearing shawls. And the guides have asked us to wear these special garments because, for one thing, it contains and protects our energy. Another thing, it sets the intention that we are here to communicate from source, and we intend to channel. And so, you know, typically when we take these shawls off, once we're done with this interview, for example, then we return to the normal life of Tom and AJ, and we don't have that sort of situation of constantly being bombarded with messages or empathic communication unless we open to it. And so, it is like the radio, switching it on and switching it off, so to speak, although we're always receiving, we're always in communion, as it were.
Wait. You just said something about a shawl. Is that the same thing as a cape?
You could call it a cape or a scarf or whatever you want to call it.
More like a scarf. It's and I have to tell you what they did is they told us we'd like you to wear what they called it was a prayer shawl. We'd like you to wear a prayer shawl when you channel with us. Mm-hmm. And we want you to do that again for protection and for attunement. And so I was like, prayer shawl, where am I going to find, where do you go to find
Never
that?
owned one, never had one.
And so I said, well, okay, guys, you're going to have to show us where. And they showed us this wonderful company. We went right to it in the internet and found this place that had geographic shapes and whatnot. So, yep, we wear shawls.
Yeah.
That is interesting because most mantis beings have capes.
Mm. It is interesting. And even when you look at our religions, most religions have an outfit or a sacred garment of some kind, whether it be a scarf, a pointy hat, or a cape, and that's because there's intention behind that, right? They're not just walking off the street, any old Joe, and like, okay, ready for church now. There's a sacredness to it. Even Stephen Greer, when he does his extraterrestrial communication, he has a whole puja and ceremony that he does to raise his vibration to do that. So there's method in the madness, Jeff. There's method in the madness.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
Beautifully
interesting.
said. Well, the one thing I can tell my grandfather says, all they do is to point me to a color. So
yes,
I go by a color and I go for it.
Yes. And so it's interesting because color is vibration, color is frequency, color is communication as well. And recently, Vivian, you would know, we love this blue, we love this turquoise, and it's a frequency that we can actually go into to heal and to reset as well. It's our little comfort zone. And so that's why, when you put on a certain outfit in a day, people are attracted to yellows or to reds or whatever. It's because it's aligning with their vibration. And sometimes you'll put on a shirt and I'm like, no, that doesn't fit. And you get irritated and you go back to your wardrobe and you find out that color that works for you.
Absolutely. And I think it's beautiful. Well, would you grace us the presence of the guides and maybe bringing some messages for us today?
Yeah, we're happy to do that. We're going to, when we do that, just a word, we're going to actually do a very short meditation, and that's for your audience as well as it's for us, because there's an energy alignment that has to happen. And we've learned over time to help us all sort of get into that energy as we call in the guide. So we'll start there.
Of course.
And so encourage all of your audience to take 3 deep breaths with me.
Yes. And they will start out with usually an opening message, and they will end with an energetic transmission they like to call the hug.
Yeah.
As well. So look forward to that, and you'll see them come in, and we'll go into a light trance, and you can ask them the questions, and we'll go from there.
Great. Here we go. Join me with a deep breath in and out. In and out. In and out. Allow yourself to breathe naturally, but focus all of your attention on your breath. Really feel as the air goes in and out of your body. This amazing gift, feeding each and every cell of your body. Allow yourself to direct that breath to any part of your body that feels discomfort, that feels distraction, and allow yourself to simply exhale it away, allowing it to float gently away, or simply to the floor next to you, where you can pick it up later should you wish. Allow yourself to feel your energies in your feet as they contact the ground, as they hold to Mother Earth. Feel the gravity of Mother Earth as she holds you, holding you like roots deep into her bedrock. She holds you, she protects you, and she feeds you from here the beautiful energies of sustaining your life. Feel her energies as they come up a beautiful brownish red, coming around to your heart space, as we also allow our crown to open right at the top of our heads, allowing in a beautiful lilac silver light, which is able to come in with the divine energies, meeting the energies of Earth, as above, so below. This opening each of your chakras, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, and of course now your third eye, your ability to see into the divine realm, your ability to extend out into the etheric, away from this time and space. This a gift available to all of you at every moment. Allow this energy, this beautiful indigo light, as it extends out from the very center of your forehead, allowing you to see out to the cosmos, to see out to the very light itself of Source. See the beautiful bright pin light there of Source. Feel the light in your own heart as it responds, for it is the same light. It is from this place that we call in our beautiful guides. We invite in all of those guides that are of greatest service to the people here who are listening, who are surrounding our etheric table, who are here to learn more about themselves and about the divine itself. We invite in these guides who are of the greatest and highest energies, who are closest to the light, to come and share their wisdom with us. We thank them for their presence here today.
We are so grateful for the opportunity to be with you today and share in the expanding of your consciousness, for this is an important time of your self-awareness, your self-realization. For we wish to speak to you today about an understanding of your capacity, what you are capable of through your intentions and your co-creation at this time, realizing, dear ones, that you are creator beings. Through your intention, you are able to shift mountains, as it were. And at this particular time, it may seem that there is much tumult, there is much chaos in your surroundings, in your creations. Yes, and yet we say that as you are stepping forward into an expanded awareness of your capacity, that there shall be those things that naturally crumble, that naturally fall aside, those things that no longer serve you, those things that are no longer a vibrational match, as it were, to the being that you are becoming, the being that you are self-realizing.
This beautiful being that you are. And we remind you again that you are this beautiful being who is constantly in growth, constantly expanding. For this is what the universe does, yes? It expands and it creates. And you, therefore, are also expanding. Not always pleasantly, and we know. We appreciate and can understand when at times growth can feel painful. For there are times when you must find what does not work to make a different choice, a better choice. Yet these choices are always available to you. You are never without them. You have each and every choice available to you, and therefore we would say to remember that the outcome is always toward the greater and highest good. The outcome is always moving you toward the fulfillment of who and what you are. You know so little now of all that you are. And yet, as we go through journey after journey, as we go from lifetime to lifetime, there are great opportunities for you to learn this bit more and this bit more of all that you are and all that the potential is that exists. Easy to become distracted, yes. Easy to get caught up in the news of the day. And yet we would say to you, the most important news is what is happening for you and the way your soul continues to grow.
Indeed, there is great opportunity for you now as you are able to disengage from those things that you held close, even this aspect of your physicality as you move into the higher multi-dimensional realms of which you also reside as both physical and multi-dimensional beings, as you open up into new insights and new awarenesses for you, always in joy, always in the higher vibrations. And we shall tell you that there is many wonders that is there for you in these higher realms, should you choose to pivot your focus, to realign your energies, and to set new intentions.
And so as you go day after day, situation after situation, circumstance after circumstance, we say to you, do not despair, for each of these is shaping and helping you to find more about who and what you are. There is nothing that you need fear. There is nothing that can get in your way, for the energies of the universe are stronger. They cannot be changed. Your light is unquenchable. And it is your light that we see as we look out upon you. We are so interested in hearing what is on your mind and what questions you have. There is no question you cannot ask. We look forward to having conversation with you, dear ones, for you are precious to us.
Beautiful. We are so blessed. We're so blessed to be with each other's presence. Thank you, guides. Thank you so much. Member of our audience, message. I'm asking questions for the guides today. Jeff, my friend as well. Question for the guides today.
How many guides are there presently?
Dear one, there are infinite guides around you as there are stars in the sky. Always there to support you for a reason, a season, or merely an intention. Always those before you that are best equipped and enabled, both vibrationally and with inherent knowledge to support your growth and your awareness and your understanding. For you must realize, dear one, that there is no separation in the divine realm. Your guidance and your support is much like the flowing of a river. Yes, individual waves and splashes, and yet a collective moving together in co-creation, in harmony and in unison. This an important aspect for you all to consider, to move beyond individuation and individual ideology, as it were.
Remember, of course, we are energy. Remember, of course, that we are not entity, that we are, in fact, the energy of Source's love itself. And therefore, we are not in a bus. We are not in a collective room. And there are as many of us as there are of you. For each of you have your own guides, and several of them, of course, guides to help you stay in joy, guides to assist you as you make your choices and to recognize what it is that you want. For this is perhaps the most important question you must ask yourself. What do I want? And is this choice getting this for me? Is it serving me in the way that I wish for it to? You have guides who are sharing their wisdom. You have guides who are sharing their belief in you. And so there are as many of us in various energetic portions as needed for those around.
So, dear one, we invite you to step into the infinite circle of light, to join us and to be together, and to not see yourselves as separate but as one.
Are you guys multidimensional?
As are you, dear one. There are many realms upon which we may reside, and many realms upon which you too reside. And it is a matter of where we choose to meet. We may meet in the physical, we may meet in the astral, and we, of course, meet in the etheric and interdimensional realms.
For that is what the universe is made of. Multiple dimensions, all occurring simultaneously.
I agree with that.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. A question from Shirley. How can we better feel and connect with you?
We are grateful for this question, and we encourage you to ask such questions often. Begin, of course, with an understanding that you are desired, that your guides are not far from you, that they are not thinking, oh dear, she's calling on me again, but instead are quite excited about the opportunity to stay close to you. And so a simple consciousness is what we would encourage you toward. A simple moment to stop and say, I am not walking in alone. I am not washing these dishes alone. I am not driving this car by myself. I am not going to work alone. No, I am always surrounded by those energies that adore me, and that are guiding me. And then, dear one, we ask that you listen. For many of you, we love you, are often distracted. You cannot go long without sound blaring nearby, or a television, or a radio, or some piece of equipment that is easily drawing your attention away from what is also being whispered in your ear. And so we would encourage you to spend just a small amount of time in silence so that you may listen. You may hear them sing to you. You may hear them talk to you. You may hear them simply showing you the beauty that surrounds you. These few moments of intending, for your intention is very powerful. Intending to interact with your guides, and then allowing them the opportunity to interact with you. This is what is best.
And so we say, allow time for us, create space for us in your busy days and your busy schedules. It need not take but a moment. The pause perhaps between the intake and outtake of a breath as you invite us into your energy fields, your conversations, your thoughts, for you are always carried, you are always cared for, and you are never alone.
And you are human. Yes, you are human. And therefore, as humans, you are used to a form of interaction that is human in nature. It is a physical presence. It is a voice. It is a conversation. We are not human. And therefore, we do not communicate in these ways. Many of you wait for you are expecting a human interaction with a spirit being. We would encourage you to raise your eyes just a bit higher. For as you raise your eyes higher, you shall see what is in front of you, but is not physical. For what is in front of you is in fact an energy, and that energy is speaking to you in ways that are different than your humans are speaking to you.
Very wise indeed. Not everything is human. Thank you for the reminder. One last question, dear guides, if we may, with permission.
Indeed,
There-
proceed.
Thank you. The question come from SC. There's been rumors or talk about a potential 3 days of darkness during which Earth, yeah, I know, during which the Earth will change the sense of the rotation to a clockwise. Will this happen?
Dear ones, we had in fact anticipated this question would arise, for we must remind you that on your plane there is a propensity to engage in the lower vibrations, these often being ones of fear and calamity attached with an idea of a probability, an outcome, such as the sky is falling, as it were. And we remind you all with great love, dear ones, that this is not the vibrational frequency of the universe. The universe only serves in its loving energies to expand and create in light and in consciousness, and thereby the same is true for you. It is important at this time to disengage from those things that you would see happening to you, the failure of an economic system, the failure of a political system, or the emergence of a natural disaster, and to instead turn inward, for there you are able to find the truth of what is.
Listen carefully to what we are suggesting to you. We are suggesting to you that, in fact, there is always going to be a dramatic story that is told, for you are used to these stories. You expect this to be the form change occurs. Your Earth is so brilliant at her regeneration. We hear many of you say she must completely reset, for she is being destroyed. You do not understand your Earth, for your Earth is constantly re-nurturing herself and rebuilding herself. You know, this is what she does. She takes the waste from the planet and she turns it back into nutrients. This is her ability. And so we ask you not to worry as much about a dramatic event that might occur or might not occur. For you know you set these in motion by your desiring them, by your intending them, by your telling of the story. We would recommend you tell a different story. You tell the story of Earth, who is able to continue to refresh and renew and regrow as the beings on her planet are coming into alignment themselves, are coming into an understanding of who and what they are. For there will be a time when there is not war. As for 3 days of darkness, let me say to you all, you have already experienced this at least once. You have already gone through days of darkness that have occurred for you, but they are purposed. They are to assist you, to allow you to see what you need to see. Interesting that darkness would produce light, for there is only light. Dear ones, we suggest you tell yourselves a different story. The story we are singing is the story of a renewal, of expansion, of ascension, of unity, and of oneness, for this is your future. We are so grateful to spend this time with you. You are deeply adored, not just by Source, but by all of your guides around you. With this, we are complete, but wish to send our loving energies to you, should you be willing to receive them.
Thank you so much.
Wow, that was good.
Thank you.
We call that the hug, and I hope some of you felt it. It's funny, when we finished channeling ourselves, we just never wanted to leave. We didn't want to leave our chairs. We just wanted to stay there because it felt so darn good. And we asked the guides when we started channeling if they would share that with those with us. And they often do. And so many times we'll invite them to the hug at the end, and we'll all open up our eyes and someone will be crying a little bit. And I'm like, oh, good. You felt it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And it's there for you to receive. It's there for you to receive. Yes, Shirley, thank you so much.
Yeah, a lot of gratitude. And thank you so much for this incredible gift from both of you. allowing yourself to be these open conduit with love for all of us, for those who've came, a lot of energy, a lot of powerful reminder of what story we attach ourselves to. And I know there's also energy of those who leaving the planet, our souls who leave in different ways. So after time, on the human level, we ask what the soul was taking from us too soon. Was this induced by either a medical or
Mhm.
circumstances? But I can feel that with the presence of the guys, almost like there's a recognition that only the souls knows when it comes to come in and when it comes to
Yes.
return to source.
Choice.
Right.
Choice.
Yes, and everything is intentional. The guides often, we get so stuck in the reality of our present incarnation, and yet these seemingly huge events that happen in our daily lives are but a blip on the trajectory of our eternal soul's pathway. And so, our higher self recognizes this, and it also recognizes that, it will be momentary, it too shall pass. And you're always expanding, you're always growing, you're always learning. And so that's why we make these sometimes really difficult agreements. Like, why would someone come into an incarnation with a physical disability, for example? And, the reason is that there is so much learning that we have as caregivers and as experiences, and for that individual soul to see through that unique lens of that ability or disability, as we might like to call it as well.
And we say choice as if it's just light, but it really isn't, because we're always given the opportunity of choice. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's always our choice.
Infinite choices.
Infinite choices that the universe is like, time to leave the planet. Don't want to handle this? Feel like it's a little too intense for you? Okay, no problem.
Yep, this is your time.
We'll have another chance. Don't worry. There'll be more opportunity.
Yeah, and the guides often say, where do you think that they went? Because, it's just the physical aspect that's gone. The soul, of course, is eternal.
I'll never forget that. We had someone really struggling with a friend who died of COVID, and during a channeling, and was really angry. And of course, the guides took in all that and were fine with it, but finally just said to the man, where did they go? They're right next to you. Mm-hmm. They're right there with you, because you've thought about them this morning. Mm-hmm. They're right there. And that's part of choice as well.
Yes, and Jeff, to Jeff's point too about being the multidimensional, when you open up to these higher frequencies, you open up to these higher dimensions, and you're able to tune in to those souls that have departed, or those guides that are around you, and have those communications.
Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are a multidimensional being, and we're simply having a temporary physical experience. But it's true. Even my Arcturian father always says, daughter, you know you grew fond of this incarnation, this physical form.
That's right.
Remember who you are, and you bring yourself back in that alignment to go, oh, that's right. I got so attached, so entangled, so engaged in that here that we forget the much bigger design, and we talk about the bigger design that is unfolding.
Yes.
Incredible. We only have 2-3 minutes left before wrapping this phenomenal time together. Jeff, my friend, any final thoughts, comments you'd like to make?
Well, I want to thank the guides for being here, and you guys for bringing them here. I think that was it was quite astounding, and Shirley would like to have you back again.
Oh, we'd love that.
We'd love that.
Yeah, and we they're still with us, and I just want you to know how much they love you, Jeff and Vivian, and all of you as well. There is immense love for you, and you don't have to feel at arm's length from anything. They're right here.
Mm. Mm.
Amazing.
And I gotta ask them to hurry up and get this other thing going so we can move forward. So
Yep.
Well, there's many ways to move forward.
That's right.
It's a multidimensional moving forward.
Yep.
Not just a unilateral. So that's why we need to understand and come back together to that place. our deep gratitude on behalf of both of us, your hosts, everyone tuning in every month we're in a sixth season already of the Infinite Star Connection podcast, and having both of you, AJ and Tom, it's been a treat of the heart, of the soul, a journey to humanity, a journey to the multidimensional realm, and all of the above. What a powerful reminder that we can embody all of it, all the details to connect with AJ and Tom speaking from source. Everything is in the description of today's episode. Everything is there, easy to connect with them, easy to explore, right there in the description. Again, our deepest gratitude, our friendship and love to both of you. And thank you for saying yes to your soul mission.
Yes,
No,
indeed,
thank
indeed.
you.
Thank you, thank you. And what two incredible communities. We're just so grateful to have this connection and the expanded energy. It's just like gone kapow. I can feel it there, and that's what's happening all over the world as these communities of light come together right now.
It is. We need to set aside boundaries and separation and what belongs to you and belongs to mine, and then feel like it's, or we need to go back to that space. And today was a journey through that energy throughout the time place. Jeff, my friend, my co-host, I want to thank you as well. I'm always grateful for you. This podcast would not be possible without you. The two of us, we are the equilibrium and
Yeah.
these beautiful synergy, right? We are. And that's what makes the Infinite Star Connection podcast a very unique, the one and only on the planet, the one and only with Tom and AJ. Thank you so much, everyone who are tuning in every time. We are very grateful for you. I'm so in a moment that we'll post the next podcast, but just stay in the moment and feel the energy. Thank you, everyone. Stay in your light. No fear. Stay in your light. Namaste. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.